Alright, so welcome back to episode 21 of building a space elevator again. So today's episode, we did a big time lapse for the long haul, trying to get our rail system, our platform, extended as much as possible. And the other focus was the space elevator / monorail as well. Let's get started. Alright, so the space elevator / monorail system, I focused a lot on it just to shrink it. Added 2 more batteries, hydrogen engine as well, just to get some more power. And we are actually airtight and pressurized, as you see here. So the problem with it being pressurized or not was maybe because it was part of the whole entire base at one point, and for some reason it kind of glitched out. The other problem that could have been was that the outer piece that was holding the monorail together or elevator together was made out of beam blocks, potentially. Not quite sure what the culprit was, but I changed a lot of things, released it from the grid itself, and it became a ship and everything like that, and it just kind of worked out on its own. So maybe it was pressurized, maybe it wasn't, I don't know. I didn't release it before making all the changes, but we're good to go in terms of getting oxygen in this system. Alright, so let's open the doors. The doors, of course, are the hangar doors right over here. And that will get us access to opening the left and right side of the system. Or the monorail. We could just call it the monorail for now. And as you can see, we shrank it a bit. It used to be up to the thruster, but figure we don't need that much space. So why not shrink it for the time being? Because we don't need that much space in there anyways. Because one, I'm by myself. And 2, I could put multiple passenger seats in here anyways, without having too much difficulty. So there's that. And of course, I put a little bit of a gyroscope right over there just to give it a little bit of help. And we changed this section of it. Why? Because it was a little bit tight going through the pipe system. And when I say a little bit tight, as you can see here with a block, it's almost touching the bottom hover engines, as you see there. So I got rid of most of the larger slope blocks connected to the hover engines just to give it a little bit more help passing through the pipe system. And this seems to be working quite well. So I did test it a little bit. And to be honest, I did test it off camera as well, just to see how fast we can go and pass through the pipes and everything like that. A lot of good testing and a lot of bad testing. So some of it did involve crashing the entire game by breaking the platform, hitting the pipes and everything like that. But I think I got a good setting off of it. And now very less clangy, very less chances of crashing and everything like that. But I do have to clean up the rail system a bit and make sure that we have less pipes. And at one point we used the cylindrical columns instead of the pipes, which is a little bit thicker. So that's going to cause a problem. So we have to clean up the rail system, get rid of a lot of the piping system, get rid of cylindrical blocks, things like that, so we could be sure that we're okay. Another fun or funny part of the testing was that I forgot how low the ground was at one point. And the system kept on crashing, thinking that it was hitting the pipe, but it wasn't. It was actually hitting the ground. And then it figured that out eventually. And I put in the drills in the front and then drilled out the ground a bit. So when we go forward, you'll see some of that right there. And let me show you how tight this really is on the piping system right there. Alright, so passing through a pipe right now. The top piece, pretty good clearance. Bottom piece, pretty decent clearance. If I were to put a full block here, it has a bit less of clearance. So in order to help it, just kept the hover engines like this. And just kept a minimal space so that we could have that minimal chance of crashing the pipes. So this gives it a decent amount of space. as you see here. What we had before was kind of like a slope like this. And you can see it's slightly higher than the hover engine itself. So that gives it that extra leverage that we can have to avoid crashing. But yeah, that's how much clearance we have. Alright, so we can technically go 100 meters per second forward like this and not cause any problems with the piping system, which is great. And then here's the part where we drilled out a bit so we could fit the monorail system or the elevator itself. So it's kind of poorly drilled on the bottom. Should have made it a little bit more squared or rounder. But you see here, it fits perfectly with a little bit of problems. Oop. I saw a little bit of a pixel right here. Right there. That might cause... I don't even know what that is. That might cause an issue down the line, I believe. Okay, that's a tree pixel, so... Or grass or something like that, so we don't have to worry about that, actually. I thought it'd be like a stone pixel, if anything. But yeah, as you see here, we could run through this little ground piece here, which is an interesting sight, as you can see here, and it just fits pretty decently. It's got decent space, and of course you run into this tree, which is a little bit awkward, but we could cut down the tree if we want to, and then we get off the ground and we just keep on going. So again, cleaning up the rail system will be ideal. So I'm gonna have to reduce a lot of this piping system. We don't need that many anyway, so just minimize our crashing and everything like that. And just to prove a point, we can go pretty fast. We're just gonna increase the speed here, go 100 meters per second, and swipe right through all the piping that we have here. So these little nubs are sticking out. We can clean that up for sure, and that would help out. Here's the pipe that I was talking about with the cylindrical block right here. So that needs to be cleaned up for sure. I think they have a few couple in the front, but that needs to be cleaned up because it will break the hover engine. It will hit it, it will collide, and break the whole entire system, and it's not going to be pretty. And surprisingly, I made it just enough space to kind of fit through the little skybox station that we have up front. Which is pretty interesting. So yeah, once again, I'm probably gonna fly the multi-tool around, clean up all this little piping system that don't need to be there, and then reproject the whole rail system going forward, so we don't build these cylindrical columns and everything like that. And we eventually do lose speed because this thing is a bit on a tilt, as you see here. So we technically will fall backwards if we decide to like stop, basically. But we're gonna make it to our skybox right about now. To really turn off my front. Here we go. This is the skybox, and we have more than enough space to kind of get through it. We should bring it down a little bit more, the skybox, just to even out to the hanging doors and everything like that, but that can kind of wait. But here is a cylindrical column that's coming up that we definitely need to get rid of down the line, because we will break the system or collide it with the hover engines, and that's just gonna be a terrible waste of time, basically. All right, so right here is the biggest problem that we need to get rid of. And just to show what that looks like, hope I don't break anything, that it does give a bit of clearance, not by much right there. So it will break the system if we go too fast and not really pay too much attention to it. Look how close that is to it. That is a bad deal right there. So going slow will be fine to kind of go through it, but we need to get rid of these eventually so that this whole monorail system works a little bit better. But as you see here, if we were to turn off the thrusters, we just go backwards, and we go backwards pretty fast. So I've seen it go up to 104 meters per second, and then you gotta stop it in time. If you don't stop it in time, obviously what's gonna happen is gonna blow up the whole entire rail system in the front section. So that's not gonna be a good deal as well. But this all is working out pretty well. I was kind of doubting it eventually because of this gap I put here, which I probably shouldn't have done. But turns out it's okay to do that. It does ruin the look and feel of it just a tiny bit. It works, surprisingly. And as you see here, I'm going about 88 meters per second past the sky block. And we're going to hit the 100 meters mark and keep flying through all these pipe systems without any issues. We're not wiggling too much, which is great as well. Here's every time I go through these piping, they just like cringe a little bit, hoping we don't break anything. And as you see here, 104 meters per second or 104.30 meters per second. And we're just flying back to base basically. So the speed is good. The pipes are flying past it. It makes me very nervous every time I see it go past one, especially a larger one. But of course, the moment we break something, the game potentially will crash. So that's not a good deal. But so far so good with the system, and I need to stop this thing a little bit sooner. So let's turn this on, and we're gonna fly by our drilled out space relatively soon. Let me turn it off so we can go down a little bit slower. I actually like that we were able to drill out this space here, just enough to kind of go through it. And as you see, it looks pretty cool. And once we get to this spot, it's not as much of a lean, so we're almost squared away or flat. So you see that's why it's so slow, which is a good thing. So we can slowly get back here. But once we go 104 meters per second, we don't stop in time, we will potentially fly too far back and break everything like we did with the rail rider at one point. But as you see here, of course, we want to go slow down to dock into the station right here so we don't collide with it and make any issues. And we are set and back with the station. And from here, we can turn off the thruster. So it might move a little bit, I think. Yeah, it's moving ever so slightly. But that motion that's moving ever so slightly is going to end up falling in the back anyways. So it's going to probably hit this block right here before it does anything crazy or significant damage. Or actually, I didn't even pay attention to this, but the rail rider here. Okay, so this might be a problem. No, it stopped. Okay. That's a good thing. I was actually afraid that the hover engine here was going to fling over this thing and be an issue, but it's not. All right. Okay, so as you see here, this thing is working pretty well. So we just got to clean up the rail system, go for the long haul, go as far as we can with the rail system, cleaning up, reproject it, and things like that. We could make this thing a little bit bigger if we need to. Everything seems to be holding pretty well in terms of hover engines. So all aspects of it is pushing against each other really, really good. And the only significant issue I have here is reconnecting a connector. Initially, I have a connector kind of rubbing against the rail system. Bad idea. It's going to cause clang. It's going to break something. So I put it on the tail end here. And I put it on this rotor. And what I mean by put on the rotor is put a connector on the rotor. Yeah, so I put the rotor displacement at negative 40 cms, throw in a connector. And I only use the connector when I need to connect. So I'll just build it and dismantle it and all that jazz. But I try to do it with a hinge system where it folds this way and it folds upwards. It works okay, but every time you connect it, it does cause a little bit of a clang. Same thing with the rotor system. Connecting it, it's just going to cause a little bit of clang as well. Actually, I never tried it with sheared initial on, but hopefully that will work okay. But so far, so good with the hydrogen anyway. So we have 90% hydrogen. I think most of it is running off of the hydrogen engine anyways. So we turn that off. We should be good. Our battery wise, don't know why, but we're kind of losing a lot of batteries pretty quickly. We have 41 minutes. Actually, you know why? We do know why. Because the hover engines takes a lot of batteries. So we do need somewhat of a uranium system, I believe. That would be helpful. And I think I'm carrying a lot of weight for no reason. I don't know how this got in here. But we got the hydrogen. So we're not using anything right now. And we're pretty much good to go. I think we are out of or need to reposition a few things. Such as this. What is this? The rig. So we need to reposition this to gather more iron. As you can see, we already gathered as much as we could. So far, I guess we'll just point it directly at it. And push it forward again. And we just do 0.001. Let it slowly get there. It looks like there's still a significant amount of iron here. So still a lot to gather in that case. So we should be fine to do that. But that's it for the main base, the whole monorail. We got to check on the iron in the secondary drilling system. So let's see what that looks like right this moment. All right, so we made it to the secondary iron. And it looks like we've pretty much finished drilling out most of the iron that's on the ground. So we got to start rotating it this way and gather all the iron. So that's something we eventually got to do and rebuild the drill system a bit. But not much has gone on since then. I think production-wise, everything stopped because we don't have much iron left. Yeah, very little iron left. Alright, so other than that, Ice Lake we never touched. I think we still have a bunch of ice, so we're not going to worry about that anytime soon. So let's see how far we have gotten with our welding rig. Alright, so the welding rig, as you see here with the projections and stuff, we should stop it eventually and reproject it once we clean up the rail system. Because we don't need all this craziness here. And that'll be a little bit better for our monorail system and not collide into the pipes and everything like that. Alright, so how much steel plates do we have currently? A decent amount. I think at another point we had another 100k worth. We loaded it up and start welding and everything like that, but it looks like it stopped because it's gotten to a certain point in time again. So we haven't hit the build limit yet, as it seems, so that's a good thing, I guess. Alright, we'll bring this thing back and we could try to reconnect it and settle down for now. Alright, so this seems to be pretty good. We're just gonna bring it back a little bit so we can reload this thing up, but of course we're not gonna do anything until we reproject the rail system that's cleaned up going forward. But let's just put this thing on this connector right over here. And we're good to go. All right, so we're locked in. So we're good here. We'll load it up, reproject everything going forward. But let's see how far we've gotten so far right over there. So kind of hard to see, as you see here. But I think we're about maybe 20 kilometers away. So the golden iron spot, that's close to base. So yeah, we're 19.25 kilometers away, which is not too far, which is not too bad as well. We still got 60 or so more to go to kind of get to space out of the atmosphere. And to be honest, when I got to those space resources, technically I was still within gravity by like 0.05 or 0.5 or something like that, which is kind of weird, where going out to space to an asteroid and was still in the gravity well. But it is what it is. You'll see that eventually once we get out there. But we still got long ways to go. So we should build a ton more drill system for iron. And keep building this thing out. But looks like, yes. Clean up the rail system. Reproject it. Build this thing up. Let it automatically go. And just keep on trucking with the resources gathering and building. So you guys know what to do. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. Drop a comment down below. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.